I do kind of want to talk about my own brush with pop culture paganism. And the reason I do is because somebody did make a comment on one of my videos. It was the one where I had asked about what deity would you compare my favorite anime character to, and then somebody suggested pop culture paganism and that I could. If you do not believe in spirits, deities, anything spiritual whatsoever, then I suggest you leave, scroll on by, don't click on this video. If I ended up on your algorithm, that is not my problem. So I used to be a Lokian, the Loki's Berid and her thing with Kylo Ren, right? I have also made videos on here talking about an abusive mentor that faked being possessed by Loki to manipulate me into helping her clean her house and assist her with stuff. So my brush with pop culture paganism is, and the whole thing with Kurapika, is that I had to face the possibility that I was being Kylo Ren by Loki. Because here is what happened. It's a long story, so buckle up. So I used to run the Segan Shrine. I decided to make a 2-sentence reference referring to what happened between me and this mentor. I named no one's goddamn name. Mentor found it and came after me and threatened me with slander. I came to find out that she was going around telling people that I was a stained pinafore and that I humped a pillow in front of her. Now, that same summer, like a month and a half later, I had a dream about the Japanese moon god. I acknowledged him, didn't want to be rude, but I didn't think much of it. And then I started having other dreams about a figure in my dreams. But it wasn't clear if it was Tsukuyomi no Mikoto or someone else. And I just kind of went, oh, this is nice, but didn't think much of it. But then, like, almost a year later, I am scrolling on Pinterest and I find this fan art that ends up standing out to me, like, big time. And it was Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter. I'm like, I gotta watch this anime. So I end up watching it. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I started having strange dreams about Kurapika. And then as a result of this, I started looking at everything that was going on with Loki and was looking at everything. And I looked at other characters in the anime and thought about myself and did a lot of self-reflection and went, you know what? I don't think Loki has ever been a good deity for me. I don't think I belong here. So I left all the groups that I was in. I cut myself off from certain people. It was not a light decision. And for like 10 months, I just kind of sat with Kurapika, understanding that maybe this was a spirit guide's way of kind of moving me away from the obsession that I had with Loki. But I was like, okay, you know what? I could be being Kylo Ren. Let's make sure about what this is. And I thought about it and I looked at more of like the symbols that Kurapika has and noticed he had some lunar themes. And I connected him with the Japanese moon god. Now, obviously, he doesn't really look like the Japanese moon god. But there were things about him that made me think of the Japanese moon god. After turning to the Japanese moon god and like remembering like all the weird dreams that I was having before, after a while things started to kind of go downhill. And I started like witnessing my own downfall. Started having really bad dreams. The kindred that I was in didn't even want to acknowledge that he's a real being. I had so many people in my community, like local pagan community, that were willing to support the idea that I had Loki with me, but not this one. But yeah, the nightmares have gotten like really bad, right? And I had to sit here and kind of go, I got Kylo Ren. And I've had to sit here asking why. I'm like, I don't understand, because I wasn't necessarily dragging somebody's name through the mud. It's kind of hard to drag somebody's name through the mud when you're not saying their name. And I'm like, I know I'm not lying about this situation. I have been upfront about my own part in that situation even. I even checked with other people that were there. I didn't imagine it, right? That really fucking happened, right? I'm not making this up, am I? For me, Kurapika, even though he's still my favorite character, I still love him. He's still an amazing character. I just recognize it for what it is. This thing separated me from everything. And I've had to sit here picking apart every little thing about why my abusive mentor got the justice that she wanted against me. And there are people that will seriously look at this and go, well, maybe you were lying. And maybe you were the one that shouldn't have been doing that. Believe what you want about it. But I have had to do a lot of self-reflection because of this shit. Because, okay, let's face it, why would the Japanese moon god want anything to do with someone like me? And that should have been the logical thing. The guy killed the Kamiya foods because she did something disgusting in front of him. I'm a fucking mess. I don't even think I'm that pretty, especially by Japanese standards. It was really foolish of me to believe that that one wanted anything to do with me. And the reason I did connect it to the Japanese moon god to begin with was because of the dreams that I was having prior to Kurapika. But this thing ended up ultimately closing me off from everything. That in the last few years that I haven't been cut off from everything was when we went to Japan and the veil was super thin there. But then come back here and it's just back to this spiritual cage. Is there something more to that situation with that mentor than I understand? Possibly. And I've been going over it, so. But it's also why I do get on and talk about my own part in it and not just talk about how she victimized me. Because I understand that maybe I wasn't 100% the victim, and the gods don't see it that way either.